these bullets never disintegrate. It's a fact that could finally lead to answers in one of Georgia's oldest and most gruesome hate crimes, the lynchings at the Morse Ford Bridge.
Stab a white man!
It's a secret many members of an angry white mob took to their grave. America's last mass lynching. 4 black sharecroppers and friends, George and May Dorsey and Roger and Dorothy Malcolm, in a secluded area known as Morse Ford. May was 7 months pregnant. Now, 73 years later, the discovery of more than 100 bullet shells and casings found at the site by CBS 46 crime scene investigator Cheryl Mack McCullum and her team could finally link the killers to the crime and bring long-awaited closure for the victims' families.
All they want is a slither of justice. They're not looking for a trial. They know they're not going to get it. They're not looking for an apology. They know they're not going to get it.
In 1946, Roger Malcolm is jailed for stabbing a white farmer he suspected of fooling around with his wife Dorothy. Days after his arrest, his boss, Boy Harrison, drives Dorothy along with George and May Dorsey to bail Roger out. Harrison takes the long way home that day, and as they neared Morse Ford Bridge, the car is blocked by a mob of 20 armed white men who drag them from the car, tie them up, and shoot each of them more than 100 times.
Miss Dorsey, and meet them at the bridge.
Mack has worked in criminal justice for nearly 40 years, but it's the cold cases that haunt her most, which is why she spent the last 20 years solving unanswered truths.
There's a lot here. There's a lot of evidence here. There's a lot of history here.
It's unclear if this new evidence has even been tested or reviewed for leads. The FBI closed the case last year and refuses to answer our questions.
Well, then damn it, go do your job. That's all we're asking. Simple. Easy. Can we test it? Is there anything that can be done now that wasn't done?
The FBI's initial investigation in 1946 identified possible suspects, but no one was charged. In 2007, the FBI revisited the site in Walton County and found little physical evidence. Mack and her team, including Atlanta prosecutor Holly Hughes, visited the site 3 years later and did some digging of their own.
Within 45 minutes, we had our first bullet. After the first day, we had about 30.
Eventually, they collected and turned over more than 100 bullets and casings to the FBI.
That tells you nobody looked in the first place, right?
Right.
That's a pretty obvious conclusion you can draw. And so, how hard were they trying to solve it?
So is it possible to solve this crime?
Is it a long shot? Yep.
Yes.
But dadgummit, it's a shot.
Here's what we know. Shotgun shells went from cardboard to plastic in 1960, which means the shells Mack's team found at the scene, encased in cardboard, were made before 1960. People are gone. They're dead.
Right.
But how do we close this case?
You take that shell casing and you cross-check it against the shell casing from one of the weapons, and you see if you can't match it up. And then you go back to that family and say, hey, you know what? You gave us this. It does match up. What story do you know?
CBS 46 is offering a reward to anyone who turns in a gun they believe may have been used in the lynchings. You can turn the guns in to any police station for testing and send a signed letter of proof to CSI Atlanta at cbs46.com.